After U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear sites, Iran has now decided to retaliate by closing the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz, through which more than 17 million barrels of oil pass daily, is the most important energy choke point in the world. If this strait is closed, it won't just be Iran, but also Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE whose oil exports will stop. And when oil exports stop, it's like the engine of the world's car starts to jam. In other words, everyone around the globe will feel its effects. The Strait of Hormuz is a 35-kilometer wide waterway between Iran and Oman that connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea. This is the same route Arab countries use to export oil to the world. Around 20 to 30% of the world's total oil supply passes through here every single day. If Iran tries to forcibly close the Strait of Hormuz, nearly $1.5 billion worth of oil per day or $44 billion worth per month would fail to reach global markets. And it's not just oil. Qatar's LNG liquefied natural gas is also exported through this route. If this happens, international oil prices would surge sharply, because demand for oil in other exporting countries like the US and Russia would rise by 20 to 30%. Oil prices could instantly shoot up to $150 to $100 per barrel. Petrol, diesel, and gas prices would spike worldwide. But the question is, can Iran actually close this 35-kilometer wide passage? Looking at history, Iran has threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz many times, but it has never fully carried it out. In 2008, tensions were similar to today when a conflict broke out between U.S. and Iranian warships in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran warned that if attacked, it would close the strait. Panic spread in the international market, but Iran never closed it in 2011 and 2012. The U.S. imposed sanctions on Iran's oil exports. At that time too, Iran threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz. But the U.S. warned that such an act would be considered an act of war. As a result, Iran did not close it, but did conduct naval exercises there in 2019. A similar situation arose when the U.S. declared the IRGC Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps a terrorist group. In response, Iran detained an oil tanker and even shot down a U.S. RQ-4 drone. But again, the strait was never fully closed. Only during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s did Iran attack Kuwaiti tankers because Kuwait was supporting Iraq in the conflict. But the U.S. intervened, and the U.S. Navy began escorting Kuwaiti ships. Even then, the Strait of Hormuz was never completely closed. This proves that while Iran repeatedly threatens to shut down the Strait of Hormuz during every conflict, in reality, it cannot do so. Not only is it against international law, but it would also bring massive damage to Iran itself.